You have an objective today. One is to learn and hear the candidates that are going to present, what they stand for, what they're trying to get done, and what message you're going to bring back to your communities. That's the second objective, taking what you learned today and disseminating it to your residents and your respective communities. Now, it's being videotaped. We expect the videotape to be up on our website within a week, so you'll have that as a tool to help communicate to your residents who are not here today. David Dinnan has employed me to make sure I know what numbers we're talking about. We have verified we have 42,000 registered voters within our coalition. I'm not going to give you the breakdown because we know we're not a political arm. Despite being a veteran, I encourage everybody to vote. I don't care whether you're Republican, Democrat, or independent. I just want you to get up and use your American freedom to go do what's called upon all of us, and that is to go vote. Our participation rate over the last 10 years has been 75% of the qualified voters turn out at the polls. Now, the primaries normally are a little lower than the general elections, but who knows what's happening this year with regards to what's going on politically in the United States. So with that, as a little bit of background, each candidate will get 5 minutes. Camille, our sheriff out there, that's our sheriff, she will make sure that you're wheeled in and out and so forth. There's tables out there for you to leave brochures and materials. We'll ask the first 8 people to sit and listen to the other 7 and then vacate so we can let the next 8 people come in and run this in an orderly fashion. Okay. The 5 minutes would include any time, including Q&A. So you use the 5 minutes any way you want. I would suggest you use it to talk about what you would do should you get elected. Do not mention your opponent. We don't want to talk about your opponent. Let him talk or her talk about themselves. Talk about what you're going to do and do that, okay? Very proud of Palm Beach County. Our record within the county, North County Neighborhood Coalition, is a pretty trusted organization. If you can, just take a moment on the videotape. Can we shut that door there, Bob? Okay. All right, so I'm the executive director of the North County Neighborhood Coalition, and with that, I am going to ask you, if you can, Mr. Bongiorno, sure, to take that and pass it around and sign that so we know who's there, okay? Including us? Including you all, exactly. I will give you a 1 minute to go sign so that you know how much time you have left of your 5 minutes, okay? And we've done this before, and it's always gone very well. The feedback we get from the residents has always been very positive, as well as the candidates. Okay, they appreciate it. So we appreciate your time. You know, running for office, as we know, is not easy. Takes a lot of energy, a lot of willingness to hear the good, bad, and the ugly from anybody. And with that, I would say patience is probably the most important characteristic, because you know it's a process that you're going through. So if you make it through the primary, congratulations. If you don't, still congratulations. You volunteered your time to kind of represent your beliefs and bring them forth to the residents in Palm Beach County. So with that, our first speaker, this is going to be, we're going to bring them in by groups. First group is going to speak is the sheriff's group, okay? Now, I've been asked to mention one thing. He called me yesterday. Sheriff Bradshaw will not be here today. He was intending to be. He has got a call to duty. There are a few very important dignitaries coming into Palm Beach County this afternoon between now and 4:30. Netanyahu is expected here, and Vice President Vance is expected here as well, and they are planning a big something in downtown West Palm Beach. So he expresses his disappointment that he can't be here. He wanted to be, but he wanted to. He is running. He's not vacating the position as a candidate, but he couldn't be here today. Okay, so with that, our first speaker is running for Palm Beach County Sheriff is George Gauger. Come on, George. Michael. Is it Michael? Michael. Well, his brother George decided to back out.
That's okay. That's okay. I've been called a lot of things in 5 decades of police work. So if you call me George, that's okay. My name is Michael Gauger, as he spoke, and I've served with great commitment in this county for decades, not only in law enforcement, but in the community as well. When you check my record, Gauger for Sheriff, that's F-O-R, sheriff.com, you'll get a good idea of who I am, what I've accomplished, and the innovative things that I have done over my decades of police service. I started at the bottom and worked myself up to the number 2 position. The programs that I brought in are items like community policing. Community policing was brought here in the late 80s and early 90s and went into all the toughest neighborhoods in this county, where we then reduced crime by 80 to 90% in those neighborhoods. In addition, after we improved the crime and got rid of it, got rid of the drug dealers, got rid of the craziness that was going on in those neighborhoods, we worked with housing, we worked with neighborhood associations, and what we did is we blended them all together to work together. Community policing has 2 key components. Some will tell you different. Key components are building partnerships and solving problems together. And when you solve problems, it's not just with other police officers, it's with the residents that live in those neighborhoods, it's with all the organizations in the county, like building and code enforcement and road and bridges. And what we did is brought all those together, and tremendous improvements were made in those neighborhoods. They brought in, the county brought in street lighting, they brought in sidewalks. We got the very first neighborhood park built in one of those neighborhoods. But the important thing was people were happy, and we improved the quality of life. Now, I'm the only candidate who's ever been to the Corrections Academy. I had oversight of corrections for years. No other candidate has that. I have a master's in social work. I've been active in all those communities that deal with substance disorder. When the drug farm, a state license recovery program, was shut down, I was able to start another way and rebuild that with no cost to the sheriff's office, except for the manpower that we had. I got, from the partnerships, I got 2 for-profit organizations to bring in counselors to do those programs for us for free for over 2 years. Those are the kind of things that I look at. I'm a fiscal conservative. My financial record is perfect. When you look at, if you go to the clerk's office and you run the names of all the opponents or the people, you'll see who has the best financial record. Somebody who's never been sued, never had a foreclosure, none of those things. I've never been dismissed from an agency. I've never had a consultant brought in who then made recommendations to the city as to what happens with that department. These are things that you need to look at. I would ask that you look at our histories, Google our names, look at our clerk's file, do the things that make a difference. In fact, when you look at websites, I think you'll see that I was a crime fighter, big-time crime fighter, but I did it with compassion. I believe when we get people straight and sober because of the crimes that they're committing, if we get them straight and sober, guess what, folks? All of a sudden, they're not in our jail anymore. And an inmate will cost us $25,000 a year, $25,000 a year, if he's healthy or she's healthy. And the sad thing is, most of them, because they've been abusing alcohol and drugs, are not healthy. So, folks, it's not just about crime fighting, it's about blending and building partnerships. People will talk about having plans. Take a look at those people who talk about plans. You know what? I did those things. I built those programs, and I'll bring them back when I win this election. So, folks, those are the things that are important. I have some questions. Give them a moment for questions now, because I think I have a minute or so. Any questions? Yes, sir. Bungie.
We'll be a constitutional sheriff.
You know, there's a lot of misunderstanding about what a constitutional sheriff is. Absolutely. I believe in the U.S. Constitution and the state constitution. And, you know, as far as Second Amendment, I'm a life member of the NRA and have been for about 40 years. You know, I'm a no-nonsense guy. I challenge the administration, but I work within the administration to make changes. I don't submarine an administration. Any other questions?
How long is your tenure once you're elected?
It's 4 years, 4 years. I'm in perfect health. I'm in the gym every morning at 5 o'clock. I'm good for 4 years or 8 years, or you know what? Any other questions?
Should there have been some submarining done when Jeffrey Epstein humiliated law enforcement in our county? Shouldn't someone have been aware of that and done something?
Well, thank you. That's a question from a supporter of an opponent, but glad to answer that question. When we got Jeffrey Epstein, the thing was, he had a plea agreement. First of all, he's supposed to go to prison. They sent him to our jail. With a plea agreement, said he'll have the benefits and privileges of all other inmates. Our policy said if you had 3 prostitution convictions, you were ineligible for work release. He was brought in with 2. At first, we didn't want him to have work release. We denied him for 3.5 months until the sheriff called me in his office and said, give him work release. Our lawyers said we're not going to win this case. We'll end up owing hundreds of thousands, if not $1 million or so. So I made it as tough as possible. Ankle monitors with a GPS, hire off-duty deputies to be with him the whole time. And there's 10.5 years later, an attorney made some allegations that, oh, a woman got in and had sex with him while he was on work release. No, that was probably after he was released from work release and he was on house arrest. So there's a big difference.
Great,
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, our next speaker is Alex Chief Freeman for Palm Beach County Sheriff.
You know, it is an honor to be here, and thank you all for this platform. I happen to be the longest running candidate for this office. This year marks 11 years that I have a long-standing commitment of wanting to serve Palm Beach County as your transparent, accountable, and accessible sheriff. My career started 31 years ago in the city of Riviera Beach. I retired third in command as major of police, and I went off to Tallahassee and became chief of police there. I am the only candidate in this race that held the title in Tallahassee as the public safety director, overseeing the police department and the fire department. And when I moved back here in Palm Beach County a year and a half ago, I got a job at Jupiter Inlet Colony as their first African-American deputy chief of police. Now, what makes me uniquely different than my opponents? I've never served in the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. And when you combine their years of service, that's about 133 years of law enforcement service that they have combined. And other than being tough on crime, also what makes me uniquely different is that we have to be tough on recidivism. And for those who may not know what recidivism means, and not to insult anyone, recidivism is when men and women find themselves a part of this revolving door of coming back and forth to the county jail at a cost of $150 a day that taxpayer pays to house one inmate in the county jail. As your next sheriff, we're going to work with apprenticeship programs, educational programs that are willing to come into the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office for the first time ever and train those men and women in a trade, and also work with employers that are willing to come into the sheriff's office, whether it be every 30 days or every 90 days, to hold job fairs so that when these men and women transition back in our communities, they're gainfully employed, because many of them are going to be on probation. And if they don't have a job to attend to meet that financial obligation of paying that probation, they're going to reoffend. So the goal here is to change lives, keep families together, and so that you and I and no one else to be a victim of their behavior, because the goal is for them to be on the right track. You know, and when you look at these numbers that I want to share with you all, I just said that it costs $150 a day to house one inmate in the county jail. The main jail, which is located on Gun Club Road, houses 2166 inmates, and the West Detention houses 998 inmates. And when you combine those numbers together, that's 3164 times $150 a day. That is a grand total of $474,600 that taxpayers are paying to house inmates in the county jail, left to their own devices to play dominoes and cards and lift weights. That is not productive. But when you add that number times 365, that is $173,229,000 that taxpayers are paying to house inmates in the county jail who are left to their own devices So when you look at the words Department of Correction and Rehabilitation, the most fitting words is Department of Incarceration and no Rehabilitation, because that is not what we're doing. We're not correcting the behavior. And if arresting folks was the answer, we would have solved the problem a long time ago. Now, there was a question brought up about Jeffrey Epstein. Under no circumstances, if I was the sheriff, that Jeffrey Epstein would have gotten such a privilege. While he was out on work release, and it was at a time where a deputy did go to Channel 5 and reported that he had concerns as to whether or not that Epstein was still having sex with underage girls on his watch. That happened here in Palm Beach County. So we can't forget that. If we're talking about keeping Palm Beach County safe, it starts right there. Jeffrey Epstein was given a privilege that no other inmate serving in the county jail with them same charges, no other than paying the sheriff's office $128,000, and that is why he was placed on work release. Under my administration, that would not happen, and I'm going to ask that you hold me accountable to providing quality law enforcement services and being transparent to you all, because I realize and understand that the voters serve as our employers. And many elected officials don't think that, but when they become in office, they forget that the voters ultimately serve as their employers. So I understand that you will serve as my employer, and I have to be accessible and accountable and transparent to my employers.
Thank you.
You good?
Doesn't seem like a lot of time, 5 minutes, but you try it. I mean, it goes pretty fast at the same time. Okay, thank you very much for your comments. We appreciate that. Our next candidate for Palm Beach County Sheriff is Laurel Diaz.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Laurel Diaz, and I am running for Sheriff of Palm Beach County. I thank you for this wonderful opportunity. My speech is going to be a little bit different than the previous two gentlemen that spoke about running for Sheriff in Palm Beach County. So I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't believe in community policing, because I do. I'm not going to say that I don't believe in social programs, because I do. What I will say to you is that social programs is not my priority as your sheriff. When I take the oath of sheriff, God willing, it will be based on providing security for your homes, your neighborhoods, your businesses, your schools, and so forth. Social programs is a great thing, and it has a place, but that should not be from the leader of the agency. The leader of the agency is to ensure your safety and accountability. Now, I also work these neighborhoods that were infected with drugs. I'm actually the one that did the undercover work. I'm actually the one that went into the homes and bought the drugs and smashed down the doors and did the search warrants and made the arrests. I wasn't a supervisor, I was the actual person on the front line. Every neighborhood you can think of in Palm Beach County. I also work major crimes. I spent years undercover. Cases where over $4 million came in. Michael Smith case, look it up, folks. So I'm a little bit familiar with the needs of Palm Beach County and our challenges when it comes to drug enforcement and violence and crimes as a whole. But listen to me carefully, please. Do not vote for me if you want someone that's going to run the sheriff's office as a social program. That's not me. And I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and pretend that that's who I am. I am all about law and order. I think that is a priority. I think that's what we're missing. Look across our country. People throwing barricades, water bottles, rocks at our men and women in uniform, and they just stand there and take it. I'm not your sheriff if that's what you expect me to do. We will go into those crowds, we will make those arrests, and they will be held to pay, because law and order needs to be reinstated. I'm all for the First Amendment. Folks, my degree, my master's degree is in Homeland Security and Emergency Management, which focuses specifically on anti-terrorism and natural disasters. I graduated with a 4.0 that I'm very proud of. I fully understand your rights, and though some of my opponents spoke about the First and Second Amendment, you better pay attention to your Fourth Amendment. That's really what the role of your sheriff is. It's for you to be safe from unreasonable searches from all entities of law enforcement. The question also came up about constitutional officer. It was semi-answered, but it wasn't answered effectively. As a constitutional officer, I want you to see this, and I hope you're recording this. I will not allow in any way, shape, or form the federal government to come into our county and impose their will unless I believe probable cause exists. I will stand up to the abuse of red flag laws. I do believe in red flag laws, but I also believe, because I've seen it firsthand, where it has been abused and has been taken advantage of. So you need someone that understands all these different procedures that are going on today across our country, across our communities, and fight for you. I'm not a politician. I'm not going to ever be politically correct. I don't hug thugs. I arrest thugs. End of story. If you misbehave, you commit a crime, you will do the time. Rehabilitation is between you and the social workers, not between you and the sheriff. That's not my job, and it's not going to be my job. And I hope I'm very clear on that. We need to open up our eyes and see what's going on. You have President Trump here now who's living in our county. That just elevated our threat level. Take a look at my degree. Go on there. Listen, it was said softly because we're trying to be nice with each other. It was said very softly. Let me just put it for the record again. Do the research. I have never been fired. I have never been demoted. I have never been transferred against my will. My record is spotless, absolutely spotless. But the nonsense keeps being repeated over and over again. I've also been, and I know most of the ones in the room here are Democrats, and that's okay. I have to serve everyone. I also understand that. But I've been a Republican since I swore allegiance to the United States of America when I joined the U.S. Army. And I actually served my full 3 years with distinction. And I've never wavered. I didn't change 14 months ago to ride a red wave. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Laurel Diaz. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. I think she has a question. Go ahead.
You use the term red flag law. Can you explain what that is?
Yes, red flag laws is usually, I'll make it really simple because I have very small time. So let's say your husband calls up 911 right now and says that you threaten him with a gun, or you threaten to commit suicide, or you threaten to go shoot up a school, God forbid, right? It gives us a right to go in there and remove that firearm, but it's still a civil law, it's still a civil case, it's not a criminal case. And where there's an abuse with it is that we're acting as if it's a criminal case when it's actually still a civil case, and we're entering your home without a search warrant. I don't have a problem entering your home, but I'd rather have a search warrant than just going in there under a civil law. Because what happens is a lot of the times you may be mad at your husband, or your husband may be mad at you, and they've made these stories up. So we overreact on law enforcement because we're afraid that it may be for real, and now you go and commit this crime. So my plan, and I don't have the time to explain it, there'll be 3 layers of supervision before we enact on, or before we act on a red flag law. It will be viewed by 3 different levels of supervision plus our legal team. Thank you.
Thank you. Just an administrative point, if you need to leave, either for a restroom break or otherwise you're leaving for the afternoon, please take the outside aisles. We're videotaping down the center aisle, and I think it's more appropriate to kind of leave that way. By the way, there is cold water in the back of the room in the white defrosting unit, okay, in case you're interested. Okay, I'm looking for the next candidate, and I don't see him in the room, but I know he's out in the hallway. Chief Ficarella, could you have Samuel Thompson, if he's out there? He's running for clerk and comptroller of Palm Beach County. Okay, and when he and this last group speaks through, then the rest of the speakers will leave. Yeah. He was out there. I shook his hand, welcomed him. Okay. All right, no, we're going to move right along. We're going to go right into the Supervisor of Elections category. And the first speaker in that regard, the first candidate, is Jeff Bongiorno.
Thank you.
Jeff.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me. Appreciate the platform. Thank you to the organizers. My name is Jeff Bongiorno, and I'm running for the Palm Beach County Supervisor of Elections position. And this is my, I ran for United States Congress last cycle, and that was pretty much an exploratory part on what I feel. I'm running because I feel our constitutional rights are being violated as citizens. Over 60% of the people polled feel that there was a problem, and there's problems within our election systems. For the last 3.5 years, I would go to the county commissioners' meetings and request that we would decentralize the vote count, and we were, I was often shut down. The last attempt at some political activism at the county resulted in our mics being shut off. I was with a group of people, and we inquired about non-citizens voting, and they shut us down. So in my opinion, We're over the target. Now, you can look me up online. My name is Vote Bongi. My website is votebongi.com. And that's Bongi, votebongi.com. But what I want to talk to you about right now is more of a public service announcement. And we're experiencing an invasion at the border. We all can agree with that. We have Alejandro Mayorkas as the Secretary of Homeland Security, who's issuing Social Security numbers to non-citizens at a rate that you wouldn't believe. Some of my data went viral that I posted on Twitter. Elon Musk commented on it, and there were 65 million views. President Trump and Mike Johnson held a press conference about 2 days later, and a lot of people attribute the SAVE Act going to the floor based on that data. The last video that I posted on social media regarding this subject was outside of the Palm Beach County Division of Motor Vehicle, where there was a NGO, a third-party voter registration organization. There's 1,947 of them in the state of Florida. And what these non-governmental organizations are doing is they're registering voters and they're accepting the last 4 digits of a Social Security number as primary ID. So you're nameless and you're faceless. You give certain agencies, certain NGOs, maybe you're at some social services, you get a Social Security number, they turn around and run it through a system, and there's no photo ID. Now, the next step in this scheme is you can go online to any local voting jurisdiction's website, like votepalmbeach.gov, and using that same 4-digit code with no photo ID, you can request up to 3 ballots. Not just 1 ballot, but up to 3 ballots. Why is that? Finally, those ballots are mailed back to you by a third-party contractor called VR Systems, who refuses to answer public records requests. They basically maintain the whole vote-by-mail database. Now, what happens? Those 3 ballots ordered by 1 person are sent out in the mail. Next thing you know, they land in someone's hand, they write down the 4-digit code, they mail it back, they're separated from the envelope, and they're counted. So this is basically a process where I've just proven to you, and Scout's honor, it's all true, I've just proven to you that a nameless, faceless entity who never shows voter ID can vote in our elections. And the incumbents, they don't talk about that. So I have a minute and about 15 left. And this is very important. This is going to impact the 2024 election. It's going to influence it. Anyone have any questions?
Tell me, how come the state's attorney hasn't brought lawsuits to do this?
So there's a lack of response from the governor down to Corey Bird, down to Ashley Moody, and down to the Supervisor of Elections, and so forth. They're denying FOIA requests, and they're not taking action on it, and it's a problem. It's almost like the Jeffrey Epstein. Everybody's going to be a great sheriff, and I would have arrested him and done that. But no, there's outside influence on this county, and they're being basically manipulated. 1 minute. Any questions? That was a big info dump. Someone's got to have a question. My website, again, is votebongi, bongi.com. You can read all about me and all that happy jack stuff. This is more important. Yes, sir.
Is there a real problem with people voting under a pseudonym or twice?
Is there, so what concerns me, I'm a data analytics guy, right? And I'm into numbers and proof. Now, there's a law on the books. It says that if there's between 1 and 29 ballots in any precinct, in any race for 1 ballot type, so let's just say early voting, there's between 1 and 29 people, the state doesn't have to report all of the detail. You get 1 aggregate line.
Is there a real problem
We don't.
with people voting that shouldn't be voting or under a pseudonym?
There's a huge problem because our officials. Was the 2020 election stolen? Were their laws broken? Was it run on equipment that's not certifiable?
Donald Trump be the president?
Should Donald Trump be the president? That's an answer. That's a question for the voters this November.
No, from 2020.
From 2020, Joe Biden is a sworn president. Last I checked, unless he might be dead.
There's issues with the election
There's issues with election integrity and with our elected officials not following the law. Article 6, Section 2, they're not checking citizenship. We're letting them attest to their status. They don't prove it. And I'm a zero trust tolerance guy. I do cybersecurity for multi-billion-dollar companies. Oh, I'm not being partisan at all. I'm just saying that we need to have zero trust tolerance. You know, you put handcuffs on the guy when you arrest him for murder. You don't put him in the back seat, you know, with his hands free. You're welcome.
Take your name tag. Take your name tag. Okay, I don't know where a couple of candidates went. They were here, maybe got called away. All right, we're just going to move along. All right, our next candidate to speak with us is Adam Frankel. He's running for Public Defender, Circuit 15.
And on time. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you, Sal, for putting on such a great event. My name is Adam Frankel. It's good to be with you this afternoon. I first started coming to Palm Beach County in 1982. I went to undergraduate school at The Ohio State University and law school at, oh, is that good or bad? Well, good. I went to law school at Toledo. You never know. There's a lot of Wolverines around here. After I went to law school, I like that, IO. After law school, I moved down full-time here to Palm Beach County. I started working in the Palm Beach County Public Defender's Office for Richard Joranby, the former public defender. In the last 20-plus years, I have a lot of political and community service. I served multiple years on the Palm Beach County Tourist Development Council. I was appointed by our state attorney, David Ehrenberg, to his Sober House Task Force. And I have served 5 terms or 12 years as a city commissioner in the city of Delray Beach. We have a population of over 65,000 people and a budget 10 times that of the Public Defender's Office. I believe that the networks and relationships that I have made in my history here would be a very, very good fit for this office. Now, let's talk about the Office of the Public Defender. We're not talking about the best in-court attorney. We're talking about a CEO of an organization that sets policy, as I did for 12 years as a city commissioner. I'd like to tell you about my top priorities. My opponent thinks everything status quo is fine, but as a city commissioner for as long as I was, I know you can never rest on your laurels. You always have to bring in good people, and you always have to improve. I believe we need fully staffed satellite courthouses like Palm Beach Gardens or Delray or out in the western communities. When I was assigned to the Delray Beach Courthouse in 2000, many years ago, there were 3 full-time public defenders in the office. Currently, there's 1 if you're lucky. If you're charged with a crime in the north part of the county or the south part of the county or the west part of the county, you first go talk to a state attorney. I think that's wrong. I think if you're charged with a crime, you speak to a defense attorney. I also believe in mental health, in a juvenile mental health system here in Palm Beach County. We have over 500 juvenile mental health courts in the United States. We have 0 in Florida. We have 0 in Palm Beach County. They're located in Texas. They're located in California. They're in red states. They're in blue states. I believe we should have them, and I would like to work with whoever the next state attorney is to get that instituted here in Palm Beach County. In many of the cases that are resolved, there is community service attached to it. I think picking up garbage at the beach is great, but why not do job training? Why not give people a future in lieu of, picking up garbage? And I also believe in community engagement. There is little to none community engagement currently in the Public Defender's Office. I've been going to a lot of community meetings, and I see the state attorney there, I see the clerk of court there, I see the property appraisers. They're all represented. As your next public defender, you will see me in your communities, because I believe that it's not just being in courthouses that would be the responsibility of the public defender. I think we need to have relationships with law enforcement and the state attorney's office, because if you get out in the community, why not be able to stop crimes being committed? And that's what I would stand for. I've been endorsed by both police unions, the FOP and the PBA in this race. I believe I've had the two best endorsements by our constitutional officers, State Attorney David Ehrenberg and our Clerk of Court Joseph Abruzzo. These are the two constitutional officers that work directly with the public defender. And I'll share a secret with you. The public defender, she's endorsing my opponent. I understand that. He's worked for her for 20 years. I've also been represented by numerous community organizations down south. And I would leave with this. I am an outsider, although I did work for a couple of years in the office. But our Supervisor of Elections, Wendy Link, she was an outsider. She's done a good job as Supervisor of Elections. Joseph Abruzzo, our Clerk of Court, he was an outsider, and he came in, and he's done a great job. Dave Ehrenberg, our State Attorney, another outsider. He never tried a case. He's done okay for us for State Attorney. And our current public defender, she was an outsider when she was elected over 20 years ago. So whether you vote by mail, you vote early, or you vote August 20th, please vote Frankel. VoteFrankel.com is my website, and I see the gentleman getting up, so my time's up. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, we're into the State Attorney, Circuit 15, Adam Farkas. Oh, no, I know, we're kind of going in an order. Hang on. Only one at a time can run the meeting. But we'll bring up Daniel. All right, since he's here. Come on, Daniel. Take it away. Public Defender.
Thanks for having me. My name is Dan Eisinger, and I'm the Chief Assistant at the Public Defender's Office right now. So in case you don't know, what we do at the Public Defender's Office is we represent folks in our criminal courts that can't afford private counsel. I've been at the Public Defender's Office for over 20 years. I'm the Chief Assistant, like I said. I've been doing that title, basically Carrie Howitt's second in command, for 6 years, and I've been in her leadership team for 13. I'm a local product. I went to Suncoast High School about 1 million years ago, and then, actually during high school and into college, I worked for Karen Marcus. When she was a North County Commissioner, she brought me on to be an intern, and I was there about 5 or 6 years. And it was a great experience for me because it did sort of teach me how to deal with constituents and folks that were a little bit different. I can tell you one guy, I still remember his name, maybe Karen does too. His name was Al, and he would call me every single day and ask me about how much fluoride was in the water. And I would send him the same stuff from the health department every single day, and every single day he would call me back anyway. But that really helped me as a public defender because it did show me how to have patience, be respectful, and really do a lot of executive listening, which I'm proud to say that I do very well. So I went to the University of Florida for law school, came back, and I had to decide what I want to do for my career. And I knew I wanted to work in something that I could help my community. I felt very, very thankful for the education that I got. I knew I was always into social services and social work. My dad had run a nonprofit for intellectually disabled people for over 35 years. But I also wanted to be a litigator. I wanted to be a trial lawyer. I wanted to be the guy that was in those courtrooms fighting those cases and sharpening my skills. And so the Public Defender's Office was truly just the perfect blend of social work, helping people get back on their feet, and being the litigator that I wanted to be. So I'm awfully proud to say I have Carrie Howitt's endorsement, the retiring public defender, which means the world to me. And what we do and what I do in court is essentially try to make sure that our clients get fair and equal treatment, no matter how much money they have or don't have in their pockets. I'm a leader from out front. I have always had a caseload. I'm always in the courtroom, day in, day out. That's where I came from today. And I love training our young lawyers to make sure they do the work that I've learned how to do from people that have preceded me at the office. I'm awfully proud of our social services unit. We have 8 social workers now, and they are dedicated to making sure our clients do not reoffend and that they're good and solid people in our community, which is what we all want. I'm always learning. That's part of what I love about the job so much. Being in court, I get to see what we need to do differently, what advances we need to make. So for example, 2 years ago or so, I noticed that our jail was full of people that were severely mentally ill and on very, very low-level offenses: trespass, misdemeanor criminal mischief, resisting an officer without violence for pushing somebody during a Baker Act proceeding. And it's horrible, right? And our sheriff says, and he's not proud of it, but I know he says that he's the biggest mental health provider in the county. And that's a shame, right? We don't treat our sick folks in the jail. So what we decided to do is start a misdemeanor mental health court division, where we brought providers into the courtroom every other week to meet our clients. And so long as if our clients agree to do a little bit of treatment, take medication, get on a treatment plan, their cases get dismissed if they agree to do those treatment plans. And that's what we've been doing for about 18 months. Commissioner Greg Weiss got involved, other county commissioners got involved, and it's been a great success. We're seeing the reoffense rates for those folks that come into our court go way down. They're not coming through every single week like they used to. So I'm really, really proud of that initiative. And I'm proud of what we do at the Public Defender's Office. We're a very healthy office. We'll be fully staffed, completely fully staffed in August when we bring on 15 new lawyers from law school. I would tell you that around the state, that is not the way things are at state attorney's offices or public defender's offices. But I think it speaks a lot to our reputation, which is known for training, known for experience. You know, we know how to run an office, an $18 million budget, which I've helped Carrie do for the last 20 years. So I'm awfully proud of what we do. Of course, I'd love to stay. Our lawyers, our staff are counting on me. I care about our clients, I care about our lawyers, and I care about our community, and that's why I've stayed as long as I have. I just want to say that I'm awfully thankful for the support of people like Carrie, Ellen Baker, who's in the room, who's endorsed me. I've been endorsed by Tina Polsky, our senator, Joe Casello, Catherine Waldron, the unions, including AFL-CIO and the SEIU, and all sorts of other folks, Dorothy Jackson, Ann Gannon from our constitutional offices. And then three that I rarely talk about, but I hope mean a lot to you, because I know a lot of you know our legal community, but the three past presidents of the Florida Bar, which is like our pinnacle for lawyers, Gary Lesser, Gregory Coleman, and Michelle Suskauer. They've all gotten behind me because they know the kind of lawyer I am and the kind of leader that I think I am and I know what I'll be. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. Dan Eisinger for Public Defender. Thanks.
Okay, moving right along, we're just going to back up just a little bit. Our next speaker is the Supervisor of Election, Wendy Link.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much for allowing me to be here and for taking your time to learn about the candidates. I am Wendy Sartori-Link, and I am the current Supervisor of Elections. I was appointed in 2019 and then elected in 2020 and have been serving since then. When I got to the office in January 2019, there was a lot of work to do. We had just come off of some difficult years, and Palm Beach County didn't have a great reputation statewide for our elections administration. And so we came in and turned that around. We had a very successful 2020 election, and 2022 came in, did a lot of changes, both with equipment, with people, with salaries, with different things to just turn the programs around. One of the things that happened, I got in, there wasn't a single written procedure in the office. You know, I thought I could learn by, why don't I get all these procedures, take them home, and I'll learn what everybody's doing. And there wasn't one. And so luckily as a lawyer, I was able to get the statute book and just start reading and doing that and learning from the folks who were there. But my goal was to reinstill confidence in our office. And the best way to do that was to be very transparent. And so we really sat with our staff and said, we're going to focus on three things: integrity, accountability, service, and then with the overarching thing that we have to have, of course, safe, secure, transparent elections. And so I think integrity speaks for itself. You've got to have integrity. People have to be able to trust you and trust everybody in the office. Accountability, you know, sure, there's a million different things that can go wrong in our job, just like anybody else's job. But nobody wants to hear about why that went wrong. They want you to be accountable. They want it not to go wrong. They want it to work. And so we hold ourselves accountable to each other as well as to all of our constituents. And then service is to remember, why are we there? We are there to serve the public. We're there to serve our voters, to serve our candidates, to serve everybody who's involved, the parties, anybody who's going to touch elections. And so we focus on those three things in the office. And then, you know, we've come in and, of course, you know, we've got to be safe. We have to have secure elections. They have to be accurate, and the public has to feel good about them. So just little things we did by opening it up. We do tours, let people come in, let people see what's going on behind the scenes. We have, silly little things. We started putting out chairs and coffee when people wanted to come in so that they could come in and see the opening and the tabulation. What I was told before was that it was made as uncomfortable as possible for people to be there, that they that way people didn't feel like they could be there. So we said, we want you to be here. We put out chairs. We actually put coffee out and said, if the more you're here, then the more you're going to see what we're doing and feel more secure about it. So we did that. We got new voting equipment, which our voting equipment was very old, and so we did that. We've got new voting equipment. It's top of the line. Our new machines, new ADA equipment, which is also called the Express Vote. We focused a lot on cybersecurity. We continue to do that. We have, we've won awards for our cybersecurity innovation. We actually won a national award for the ways that we've done that. So cybersecurity is very important to us. Protecting your data, of course, we have a lot of safeguards in with that. We have the ability, we're lucky, the county did fund us for an audit program. So we're only required by statute to do a 20% audit if we're using a machine. We have, since we got that equipment, we do a 100% audit so that the voters in the county can know that not only we're tabulating using the new equipment and the new voting information, but we're also auditing it with, actually, it's a competitor of that voting equipment. So now you have two different systems who are ending up with the same results. And so that's, I think should make people feel good. We do the 100% audit. With election workers, we focus on bringing in new election workers, training them. Our training programs are getting better and better. We hear that from the folks. We have done cost of living increases in order to keep poll workers. We're focused on why are they doing it, which for a lot of people, they're doing it to serve their community. They're doing it so that they can know that the elections are in fact safe and secure because they're doing them themselves. But also we want them to recognize that we know what they do is important. So we have increased the pay to try to get more people in. We've tried to do some creative things like the Adopt a Precinct program where we work with a community to say, hey, we have opportunity for you to raise some money and for us to get new poll workers. So we've been doing that. All along the way, working on a budget. We just moved into a new building. So with that becomes a lot of things they're doing, but we've combined our main office and our voting equipment center, two different buildings into one, which has been great. And now that we've completed buying our equipment, moved into our building, this year, even though we're going into a presidential election, we were able to decrease our budget by over 30%. I think there's only one, which was $9 million for us, almost $9 million. I think there's only one other county in the state that decreased the budget going into it, so we try to be very fiscally responsible. And then we've just made all three ways of voting, whether it's vote by mail, early voting, or election day voting. We've made them all easier between prepaid postage, ballot tracks to track your ballot if you're voting by mail, early voting, having appointments, increasing the number of locations so people can vote in person. We just won another national award for the appointment system that we have for early voting. We're the first ones in the state to do so, training our staff for election day, and making sure that everybody's ready. So I know I'm out of time. I'm asking for your vote, and I appreciate it, and please know that we're always here to serve you. Thank you.
I should mention Wendy's no stranger to the NCNC. She's been before us at least a dozen times. Okay. Anyhow, moving right along, in case anybody's concerned or worried, those that just came in a little while ago, once again, there's water in the back. If you need the restrooms, you have to leave the room and go along the aisles, otherwise you're going to be videotaped on the back of your head, and I don't want the back of my head videotaped. So, anyhow, okay. So moving right along, okay, we're going to go down into the state attorney, and I don't see Adam Farkas. We will. Greg Lerman, state attorney, Palm Beach County. Okay, great.
I have a pile of stuff, names up here. I'm going to keep track of my own time. Hi, everyone. I'm Greg Lerman. I'm running for state attorney of Palm Beach County. About 14, 15 months ago, we all learned that Dave Arenberg was not going to run for re-election and that somebody new needed to step up and take over the office. I saw issues. I saw problems that I thought needed to be addressed, despite the fact that I think Dave, over the last 10 or 12 years, has done a good job. I think that somebody from the outside looking in needed to be the person to run the office, to fix those problems. A few weeks ago, Dave said that one of the reasons he stepped aside was there was a need for change and a new perspective. And I maintain that you cannot have that change and new perspective from inside. It has to come from outside. And on Sunday, I was endorsed by the Sun Sentinel when they agreed with that sentiment and said that I was the individual that needed to come in and right the ship and fix the problems that they also perceived as an editorial board were going on within the state attorney's office. I have lived in Palm Beach County for 39 years. When I was bar mitzvahed 51 years ago, my parents picked us all up and brought us to Sunrise down south, where I grew up and went to high school, and then went to the University of Florida and went to Nova Law School after that. And I've been in this county for 39 years. I live down the road in PGA National, and I've lived there for the last 22 years. I am a criminal defense attorney. Now, a lot of people say, how can you, as a criminal defense attorney, become the prosecutor? And quite honestly, it is not that difficult. It happens all the time, each way. There are prosecutors that leave the office, and what do? They oftentimes become criminal defense attorneys. Oftentimes, and I have friends that have been criminal defense attorneys that have become prosecutors. Sometimes it happens both ways more than once, where somebody leaves one office and then becomes a prosecutor, and then a defense attorney again, or leaves the prosecutor's office, becomes a defense attorney, and then becomes a prosecutor again. I know several people recently that have done that. It is not difficult. Every defense attorney I know can become a prosecutor. I myself have stood in the shoes of the victim, and I think that says something, quite honestly, for my integrity. The example I give is my sister. She was hit not once but twice by a drunk driver, was in a coma the last time for 6 months. I tried to put my fist through the emergency room wall. I ended up, as the family defense attorney, having to deal with that situation. At the time, I was the National Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers chairman of the DUI Defense Task Force. Despite that, I continued to do my job as a defense attorney. And as a defense attorney, I've tried to have a relationship with my clients where I try to be a positive influence on them and to make sure that they did not become recidivists, that they got out of the system. As a prosecutor, I think that's what we need to work on. We need to keep people from getting into the system by reaching into the school system, starting in elementary school, through middle school, and through high school, and try to make sure that they're being educated, going hand in hand with the public defender's office, with law enforcement, with returning citizens, meaning individuals who have been convicted of crimes, and make sure that they do not commit crimes to start with. But if they do, what are we going to do to get them out of the system? And there are programs that can be developed out there between, again, all the various stakeholders that I just listed that will keep people from coming back into the system. There are things that can be done to make Palm Beach County a better place, dealing with mental health issues, elder fraud, especially elder fraud, which is an under-prosecuted crime regarding contractor fraud and other crimes that are committed against the elderly, and dealing with those mental health issues. With hate crime, my wife is the executive assistant to the CFO at the Federation. I am on the Jewish Community Relations Council's subcommittee that deals with hate and anti-Semitism. I understand those things. They all need to be dealt with in a better way. Thank you. Vote for Greg Lerman. Go to greglerman.com, and you can watch probably 40 or 50 videotapes if you want. Thank you.
Overwhelmed by attorneys today. Have one in the family, my son too, so I can't get away from it. Any event. What, David? No, nothing wrong with that, being an attorney. Anyhow, okay, moving right along. Just an observation, it seems like a lot of the people that are running for state attorney in Circuit 15 have worked together for quite some time, perhaps in the same office. So with that, that's probably, they know each other quite well. Okay. Our next speaker, candidate is Sam Stern. No, let me run it. I got a checklist going here. Okay. Yeah, I know he.
Thank you all for having me. I'm Sam Stern, Republican for State Attorney. This race is important not because I'm running in it. I'm running in it because it's important. And if you don't believe me, look around the communities around the United States who've elected prosecutors who don't enforce the law. Those communities have become unlivable. People have left. A single person can issue a memo saying, we're not going to prosecute the following offenses. And you can have the best sheriff, and you can have the best chief of police. But if you have a bad state attorney, it will not save a community. If you don't believe me, there's lots of people you can ask. They've left those communities. Capital's left. They don't want to raise their families there. Public safety is the cornerstone upon which prosperity, livelihoods, the ability to raise a family is based. One of my favorite things to do is to walk my children to school. I love it. Everybody should be able to walk their kids to school without looking over their shoulders in fear. Everybody should have the space they need to earn a living, to take care of their home, and to raise a family without fear of someone doing something to them. The state attorney's office is the essential ingredient in creating those conditions of public safety. I knew this from an early age. My father was a United States attorney in New Jersey, a federal judge. All I wanted to do my whole life was to be a prosecutor. When I graduated from Fordham Law School, I turned down one of the top firms in America to be a prosecutor. And I was a state prosecutor, and I was a federal prosecutor, and it's a prosecutor in the Palm Beach State Attorney's Office. I've been in private practice since. I've been a teacher. I teach at the University of Miami Law School. I teach at the University of Virginia Law School at the National Trial Advocacy College. I've written a published book on trial advocacy. I love the courtroom. I love the adversarial system of finding out what the truth is of a contested event. I love teaching experienced lawyers how to be the kind of lawyers they want to be and developing their skills. And this is critical. This is a skill. Lawyers are not born. They are made. Just because you're a lawyer and you argue at the dinner table does not make you an outstanding trial lawyer. It has to be worked on and developed. I am so excited for the opportunity to return to my old office, to recruit top quality people, to train top quality people, and to create an office that is outstanding, to create an office which is the best in the country, to create an office, candidly, that will outlive me. I am mortal, in case you didn't already know that. I will not be here forever. Great offices perpetuate themselves. You train the next generation. They help train the younger people. That is what I desperately want to do. I'm so excited for the opportunity. I'm so excited that the Sun Sentinel endorsed me in their Republican primary last weekend. I'm so excited about the endorsements I've received and the support I've received. This is an incredible journey. I thank you all for your consideration, for your support. Thank you very much.
Okay, our next candidate is Adam Farkas. There we go.
Well, I want to thank you for the invite. I don't usually get invited to these events because I'm the only candidate running as an NPA. I'm the only candidate not indebted to either Democratic or Republican Party. And I'm doing that for a reason, because it's the only way the state attorney's office should be.
Adam, step by the podium.
Yes. When you think about the state attorney's office, the first things you think of is impartiality, fairness, no appearance of impropriety. Now, we have seen what politics has continued to do throughout the country at different state attorney's offices, different district attorney's offices. Oh, there's a Democratic state attorney here, there's a Republican state attorney here. That's a problem. That's a problem because right off the bat, the state attorney's office then is associated with one party or another. It leads to favoritism. So that is why I think it's important to take all of the politics out of the state attorney's office. It's easy for you to tell certain people use the state attorney's office as a stepping stone politically. They're using it as a political stepping stone, and that's clear. That's not why I'm here. I was at the state attorney's office. That's where I started my career as a high school intern. I then went on to do defense work in Palm Beach County. I'm the only candidate up here who's done prosecutorial work and defense work in Palm Beach County in the last 12 years. So you may not see my name in the primary. Don't be worried, I didn't drop out or anything. I'm already in the general election. So you'll see my name come November. Now, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm the baby of 4 brothers. We grew up in Wellington, Florida. I graduated from Palm Beach Gardens High School. Right, me and my wife opened our firm after working together at the Palm Beach State Attorney's Office, and we've had our firm open for about 12 years. We have a 7-year-old son, and we live in North Palm Beach. So it's our community. It's the next generation. I didn't have a desire to run for state attorney years ago, but you got to understand, when I was coming up, the Palm Beach State Attorney's Office was a cornerstone of where you wanted to work. I didn't go abroad junior year of college because I wanted to work at the state attorney's office in Palm Beach. It was always try to work in Palm Beach. So I went to Nova Law School so I could be close to the Palm Beach connections. So I started work at Palm Beach County. That is not the case anymore. We have watched the state attorney's office take a dive in its quality and its work. What has happened is they have not been able to retain good prosecutors. So we have inexperienced prosecutors making decisions every day. It starts at the top. What we need to do is bring back proper mentorship. I plan on bringing back judges who helped mentor me when I was going through my growing process. You know, when I first came out and I started the state attorney's office, the judiciary was some of our biggest helpers. The judges would critique us after trial because we're right out of law school. We don't know anything. That has been completely obliterated. The state attorney's office has destroyed the relationship with the judiciary. No one on the judiciary helps the state attorney's office anymore. That needs to change. There needs to be cohesion. There needs to be a state attorney who is independent, impartial, and will fight for victims. It's not just about incarcerating people or charging people with crimes. It's about incarcerating the right people. It's about making sure that our jails aren't filled with simple possessions and simple thefts that continue to clog our system, the lower recidivisms that we just don't change. We just keep doing the same thing over and over again. You know, the state attorney's office has continued to do the same thing over and over and over again. And where has it gotten us? It's gotten us right here, where the state attorney's office is not considered a good state attorney's office to work for anymore. They don't have a good trial rating. They lose very serious cases for very serious victims. So when you go to the election polls, don't listen to just what we say, because obviously we can say anything up here. No one's correcting us if we're saying something false, but do a little homework. Because I truly believe that as a regular voter, if I had to vote, I would want the state attorney's office to be completely impartial, whether I'm a Democrat or a Republican, because we need it to be fair. We need there to be independence. We have seen what's happened with the judiciary that has gotten more political. We see it every day in the news. Oh, it was a Republican appointee. It was a Democratic appointee. Well, the judiciary is supposed to be impartial too. So where do we have to start? We have to start with the state attorney's office, getting politics out of the office and building the office with new, experienced prosecutors with good mentorship and good ideas, new ideas. And I'm the man to do it. Thanks.
Okay, 3 more to go. We're almost to you guys. Okay, they're anxiously sitting in the front row waiting to get up here. All right, our next candidate is Alexia Cox from the State Attorney's Office.
Thank you, David. Thank you. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Alexia Cox, and I am a candidate for Palm Beach County State Attorney. I must say that I am very proud to be a member of the State Attorney's Office Executive Leadership Team. We have a great office. Our conviction rates are high. When State Attorney Dave Ehrenberg first came to the State Attorney's Office, at that time I was already in leadership as the chief of our domestic violence unit. And many units in our office were down at the bottom. And one of those units was our county court division, which is baby prosecutors, our baby lawyers. I can tell you that our conviction rates for those county court baby lawyer misdemeanor cases, we went from number 20 to number 5. And that was largely in part of the leadership that we have on our 4th floor. Leadership that I'm a part of, our county court leadership, as well as our domestic violence leadership. And so that tells you the type of office that we have been running, one that is responsive to the needs of our community. That unit, the county court division, which is partially domestic violence unit, is now number 5th in our state, from 20 to number 5. So that's important for you to know, and it's important that you educate yourselves about what's really going on in our office. I'm proud to have been a prosecutor for 16 years at the State Attorney's Office here in Palm Beach County. A little bit about my background. I'm born and raised here in Palm Beach County. I grew up out in Royal Palm Beach. My parents were union people. My mom's a teacher. My father worked in our railroad system here in Palm Beach County. And I can tell you it was through my parents and my community, Palm Beach County, people who live here, good people from Palm Beach County, that I learned the values of hard work, dedication, being responsible, having integrity, and doing the right thing, right? So I graduated from Suncoast High School, and I went off to the University of Central Florida, where I graduated with honors. I had a great, successful college time, and I decided to go to law school thinking that I was going to be a sports agent and make a lot of money. But I can tell you that's not what happened. While I was there, I decided to do an internship at the State Attorney's Office in Tallahassee, and I tried 2 cases. One was a battery. And the other one was helping a woman who had given someone money to contract. She contracted with someone to do work on her home, and they duped her. They didn't have a license, and it was a misdemeanor case. It may not have been that important, and that's why they gave it to me, but it was so important to me because it was really important to her. And I was able to seek justice for this lady, and we got a conviction for him. And I can tell you that it was at that moment that a spark was lit in me to become a public servant. So I graduated from Florida State University College of Law. I graduated with honors, and I came right back here to Palm Beach County, the place that I've always called home, the place of my birth, where my family and friends live, and I devoted my career to service. And I've been serving as a prosecutor for 16 years. Most of that time has been helping domestic violence victims seek justice and feel empowered and know that when they come into court and not feeling like they have a voice, that they have someone who stands with them and holds their hands and helps them seek justice during one of the worst times of their lives. In addition to that, I'm also Deputy Chief Assistant State Attorney, and I've been in that role for about 4 years now, and I was chief of our domestic violence unit for over a decade. But in that time, as deputy chief, I've been able to work closely on our executive leadership team with the leaders of our office, including State Attorney Dave Ehrenberg, and we've been able to really push some good programs and policies forward that have benefited everyone in Palm Beach County. Under my leadership, I've been able to create innovative award-winning programs such as our Domestic Violence First-Time Offender Program. And it won a national award because the collaborative leader that I am, I met with our partners with Palm Beach County Victim Services, and we put together a program that was not only about accountability and prosecuting, it was also about getting much-needed resources and assistance for victims. We won an award, and we took that, and that's been really what's helped us have such a successful conviction rate in our unit. We're at 94% for our misdemeanors, I think 96% for our felonies, and that's important for a domestic violence unit to have such a high conviction rate because we work really hard to support our victims and help them be connected to resources with hopes that there will not be another incident of violence. In addition, though, to my work as a prosecutor, I want to lean in on my leadership because I think community leadership is important. Public service is what we do for money, but community service is what we do for free, what we do to help our community. And I have been a community advocate and leader for my entire career. serving on nonprofit boards, mentoring, supporting women through women's groups, women's organizations for young moms and single moms. And so I think that's really important to know that not only through my work in the office, but my leadership, that's why I'm standing here today. I'm a member and graduate of Leadership Florida, in addition to being tapped and appointed by the chief judge of our county, of our circuit here, as the chair of the local professionalism committee. That's something that I do right now. I want you to also know my plan is to make sure that we're tackling violent crime and creating units and spaces so that we can better do our jobs. I want to make sure that we create our elder crimes unit and that it's robust, and we are seeking justice for our seniors while also helping them find resources they need. I've been the first and only candidate to speak about establishing my hate crimes unit because I know how important that is in the community, and I've already begun assembling stakeholders to help me get that work done. In addition to that, I think it's very important for us to address some of the juvenile issues that we have in our community and making sure that we are doing the right thing by our children, but also making sure that they are held accountable when there are crimes that are committed, especially serious crimes. And finally, I want to thank you again for the opportunity to be here, and I ask that you go to my website, alexiacox.com, where you can learn about my many, many endorsements and who's all supporting me. Thank you so much.
Can't be any more diplomatic than that. It's kind of okay, our next candidate is Forrest Freeman for State Attorney.
Thank you. There you go. Hi, I'm Forrest Friedman. I'm running to be your next State Attorney of Palm Beach County. I have practiced law for over 38 years. I started out as a prosecutor for almost 5 years, and I liked it very much. Like some of my colleagues have said, you end up liking something, but then you have to support a family and have to move on. So I learned how to be a public defender. I learned how to be a special public defender. I've been an adjunct professor of law at Nova Southeastern University. I've taught trial tactics at Suffolk University Law School. I have also team-taught evidence at Boston University Law School. I am from Boston, Massachusetts, actually from Newton, Mass., where I was an assistant district attorney in Boston, Mass. For Newman Flanagan. With Newman Flanagan, I got to learn all aspects of the office, having worked or led every district court in Boston, Massachusetts. So when I decided to run for state attorney, I went to Belglade, I went to North County, I went to Atlantic, I went to the courthouses and I talked to the prosecutors, I talked to some of the public defenders, and I wanted to hear what they thought were what the things were going right and other things that were going wrong. And again, like all of us, we're here because we think we can do a better job since David Ehrenberg's retiring. And I think all of us bring something great to the table. I bring more to the table because of these things. I've run a bank, I've run U.S. record search, I have thrift stores, I've worked with Republicans, Democrats, independents, no party affiliates. I am going to pick the best people for the job. I think all of these people, all the candidates, should continue working in the state attorney's office, because I think we can all make it a better place. What David Ehrenberg has done right, we're going to improve on that. The things and the problems that need to be fixed, we are all determined to fix those things. And I promise to do that for all of you. I will pick the best people. Merit is the most important thing. None of us are too impressed with what our former head of the Secret Service, who recently resigned today, because she didn't have the merit to do the job and protect President Trump or, frankly, any of the candidates. So we now know that merit is the most important thing, and all of these candidates have merit. Why should you vote for me? Because I'm going to get the best out of all of them. I promise not to let Palm Beach County become New York City, Chicago, Los Angeles, because we've all seen, anybody who watches the news, anybody that works in law enforcement can see how quickly bad things happen when the wrong state attorney is elected. It's not Republican, it's not Democrat, it's not independent, it's not no party affiliate. Nobody wants to be the victim of crimes. It's true. You want a state attorney that's fair and square. You want a state attorney that is going to go into this office with a new set of eyes, which I have, and is going to audit the office to free up money that is otherwise being wasted in the state attorney's office, to give some of that money and reapportion it to the state attorneys, to the victim witness advocates, to the detectives, to the secretaries, so that we can retain the best people that we can retain. Now, it's true, we'll never be able to compete with the private sector. However, that doesn't mean that a lot of us, and I can see 5 of us here who want to, 1 minute, thank you, 5 of us here who want to go back and serve this county, because this county is one of the best in the world. My wife, Jamie Friedman, and I have lived here for 33 years. My son, Nash Friedman, my daughter, Blaze Friedman, they've grown up here. They want to be safe. That's my priority. Let's keep Palm Beach County safe for all of us, whether you're committing a crime or you're a migrant who comes here. Don't do the crime unless you're prepared to do the time. I promise you that. I promise you that I will be fair and square with everybody. Thank you.
Okay. Some of you that know me very well know we start on time and end on time. We are on schedule, so don't anybody panic. We'll be out of here in short order. Okay. Our next speaker, candidate, Greg Williams for State Attorney.
Hi, everybody. It's Craig Williams. So I'm a chief assistant at the Palm Beach County State Attorney's Office. I am responsible for 45 felony attorneys, so all your serious crimes. I'm different than everybody else that's in administration. I'm different than everybody else that's in administration. Unfortunately, I'm a trial lawyer, so I move around. But I'm the one that you'll actually see over there in the courthouse. I was raised differently than a lot of other people. Do as I do, not as I say. I expect people to do as I do every single day. I have tried more than 500 jury trials as a prosecutor in that office, more than anybody ever. And there's a reason why. Let me tell you where my passion comes from. So when I was 13 years old, we lived in New Jersey, and my brother was killed in a horrible car accident. He was 16 years old. He wasn't old enough to drive. He was a passenger in his friend's car. His friend was driving 95 miles an hour and hit a telephone pole on Mother's Day morning, taking my brother to work. And kind of like the engine came through, landed on my brother. My parents get that call early morning, Mother's Day, and he dies 4 days later on my father's birthday. It devastated our family. I lived that my entire life. Even on my dad's deathbed, it still haunted him to that day. My parents couldn't take it anymore in New Jersey, so they left, and that's how we ended up in Florida. We didn't have much money as a kid, and I worked at a gas station. I was 16 years old in high school, and I was closing the gas station down by myself, and a guy came in with a little baby, and he decided to rob me at gunpoint. Pulls a firearm out, threatens my life, forces me into the bathroom, and he beats me over the head with the firearm. And luckily, I was able to get an identification from him, get enough information from his vehicle, and a police officer was able to catch him the next morning. I had to do a live lineup and show up 16-year-old terrified. I mean, I'm terrified as a kid. I had no clue what's going on. I'm able to identify him, and he goes to trial. And I have to testify as a trial. And I have a prosecutor, it's her first big case that she ever tried. And he's charged with robbery with a firearm. He had just gotten out of prison, and now he's doing it again, the same thing. Luckily, she did a great job. Jury found that I was credible, and they found him guilty, and he was sentenced to 15 years in prison. And from that day forward, I wanted to do this to give back to our community. That was 43 years ago that happened. So I've been a prosecutor since 1993, except for 3 years when I left to do defense work, because we had a horrible state attorney. And transparency is a big issue for me. None of you guys would know this, but back when we had that bad prosecutor from like 2009 to 2013, we were the worst performing state attorney's office in the felony unit in the entire state of Florida. The worst. That's how important it is who you elect as your state attorney. You either have somebody who has passion that people want to follow, that people want to work with, or you go down the toilet like he did. I was in homicide with him. Wouldn't stay. I quit, I went out and opened up my own practice and I fought them because they were doing it wrong. They weren't treating people right. They were picking the wrong cases. They were nasty prosecutors. The juries didn't like them, and they were getting crushed in court by people like me. It is so important who you elect, that that person has that passion, can bring people along. So when Dave then gets elected, brings me in 2013 to run my felony unit. So we were in dead last. Within a short period of time, we were number 5. And ever since then, we've been number 3 or number 2 in the state of Florida, which means you guys live in a much safer community because we're doing a phenomenal job prosecuting the cases that the police bring us. And I would say it's so important too, because you have 5,500 local police officers who are members of your Palm Beach County Police Benevolent Association, and they're all your local guys. So that's your deputies, that's all your officers, and that's all your correctional officers. Do you know who those 5,500 guys who know everything that's going on at the state attorney's office and deal with us on a daily basis, do you know who they endorsed? This guy right here. Because of my passion and because of the work that I've done to make our community a safer place. And then, I got attacked the other day by one of the candidates saying that I have so many defense attorneys that are supporting me. Well, how could it be possible that you have so many police officers, all the police officers in Palm Beach County supporting you, and then all these defense attorneys supporting you? Because it's about justice. It's about treating everybody right. It's about being present. It's about doing a phenomenal job, setting a great example, and being the leader that Palm Beach County needs so we never go back to what it was back in 2012. We never can go back to that. You need somebody that the prosecutors want to work for, because otherwise you're not going to have the best prosecutors, and that office is going to turn around and go right back there. And that's why all those prosecutors in that office begged me to run for this job, because they're scared of the alternatives. So I would ask you guys to support Craig Williams. Just so you guys know, I've been married to Liz Quirantes for 37 years. Liz and I have 2 wonderful children, Casey and Emma. They're both dentists. I raise them the same way that I treat people at that office. I expect the best from you, high expectations, but I'll set the example that I only want you to live up to the example that I set. Thank you very much.
Add a little levity to the equation. I've been married to my boss for 57 years. And I know the famous 2 words, yes, dear. I get an A in that. Okay. Anyhow, moving right along, we're in good shape here. I was looking for a candidate, but he's not here. So, all right, we're going to go here with Med Weinberger. She's running for State Representative, District 94.
Good afternoon. So I am Meg Weinberger. I'm running for State House in District 94, Western Palm Beach County. I grew up in Sunshine Ranches out west on a farm in Fort Lauderdale, and I have lived in Palm Beach Gardens, Western Palm Beach County in Calusa for a number of years, and Palm Beach County for over 30 years. I am a mom and a wife, 2 beautiful daughters. I have foster children, and I've been a mentor for many, many years with Place of Hope and Kids Sanctuary. I've been involved in our community for a long time, giving back. I believe you only know what you're exposed to in life, so I'm very passionate about lifting up the most vulnerable and kind of showing them something else that maybe they will never be able to see, and exposing them to whether it's the animal humane education that I'm passionate about or just a different life experience and kind of helping them through life. I am passionate about education as well. I grew up in South Florida. I didn't always have the best experience. My parents took us, we were homeschooled. We ended up just not always having a voice at the table. And now that you can have a seat at the table, I'm very passionate about helping make sure other parents and kids can have a better experience than I did. I've been involved with many organizations, and I feel it's just it's so important to continue to help. Sorry, losing my train of thought here. With kids and exposing them. My daughter plays soccer in college, and I don't want her to be exposed to playing with boys in school. It's very scary to me as a mom. I believe in farming. I've grown up on a farm. I still live on a farm. Florida, it's our second industry in Florida, and it used to be our first. I think that we need to protect our farmers. It's important to protect our environment and our water. Very passionate about our environment in Florida, safe neighborhoods. Not too long ago, my daughters and I were actually carjacked in Mirasol, not far from here, and that will give you a different perspective on how important your police and making sure that they're taken care of properly, paid effectively, and also being respected. I want my kids and their kids to have the values that I was raised with. And I don't, you see what's going on in the world today. I felt just as a mom, just as somebody that's been serving our community for a long time, I get things done. If I have a vision or a goal, I don't stop until I complete it. And, somebody like me, I just felt like it's time to stand up and do what I can do to fight for our community and the way I've been fighting and serving others for so many years. So I am very grateful to be in this role and on this journey and learning so much about our district as I've gone on many ride-alongs with our Sheriff's Department from Belle Glade for hours. My first one was from 5 p.m. until 5 a.m. I did the ride-along, and the next day, a whole day shift. I've done the homeless ride-alongs. You learn a lot about your district and the community, and so much that we really don't realize right 30 minutes away from where we all live and drive every single day. So I want you to know that I will fight when I'm in the legislature, and I will continue to do whatever I can do and put others that are experts in certain situations that, maybe we need to lift each other up. We need to make sure that whatever we're doing is for our community, whether it is insurance and important, everything that's touching us, everything that's affecting all of our families. And I know the importance of many of these topics that you feel. I feel it at home as well. So I am very grateful to be here in front of you today, and I thank you so much, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Meg.
Thank you, Sal.
You got your card?
Thank you so much.
Okay, moving right along, we have Gabrielle Fox, who's running for State Representative District 94. Oh, Boris, do you want more publicity?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Gabrielle Fox, and I am running to be your next state representative in District 94. My story started in Florida 21 years ago. I have been a resident for 21 years, came down from Chicago. I also know what bad policies and bad state's attorneys, for example, can do to a beautiful city. I am a small business owner. My husband is a small business owner. I am a Christian wife, and I have been involved in conservative activism, for lack of a better term, for the last 7 years. Organizing events, attending, city council, community events, the county meetings, and really seeing what people are struggling with. Years ago when I got involved, I was looking more at a macro level federally. And then I said, we have a lot of problems here in Florida, but nobody really talks about them on my side of the aisle because everybody just talks about how Florida's super red and we're doing great. I think that conservative constitutional values like mine are beneficial to everybody no matter what side of the aisle you're on. I'm big on God and I'm small on government. I think that the government's job is to, number one, keep us safe, public safety for sure, and to ensure that our rights are intact and that they are protected. So I decided to get involved in a more official capacity. In the last 2 years, I made my decision. Legislation is the policies that affect our communities. It's the policies that affect every single resident in Florida. And so after meeting with legislators, going to different events, and trying to learn as much as possible, I decided that the legislation was the place that I wanted to focus on. I am the only grassroots, true grassroots candidate in this race, meaning I don't have special interest donors and relationships. I don't plan on taking special interest or corporate money to get elected or after I'm elected. And as of this morning, a decision that had been weighing on me for quite some time, about a year, I released a press release regarding my campaign this morning that I will pledge to donate my salary as a Florida State House rep to my home church and other pro-family, pro-small business organizations in the district. It's really a decision that came from wanting to set an example to combat some of the corruption that we see on both sides of the aisle, and to let people know that I'm in this for the right reasons. I don't plan on shutting down my small business, neither does my husband, and we're not in this to become career politicians. I want to focus on the community, focus on restoring rights that may have been infringed upon in recent years, and try to address some of the issues that are affecting residents, such as the skyrocketing cost of living in Palm Beach County, the insurance crisis, and other issues. It's an honor to be here, and I'd be honored to have your vote. Thank you.
Okay, we're moving right along here. Our next speaker is Christian Acosta for State Representative, District 94.
Roughly how much time do I have? 5 minutes. All right, no problem, I can do that. Hello, everybody, thank you for being here. My name is Christian Acosta, and first off, thank you for giving me a minute of your time. I know politics is not everybody's cup of tea, but if you don't listen to us as candidates, we don't have too many ways to get out our platform and our words, so thank you. Being involved is important. So why am I getting involved? I'm running for State House of Representatives in District 94. That's right here, but it goes from Indiantown Road in the north to Southern in the south, Turnpike in the east, all the way out to Lake Okeechobee. It's an amazing district. It is diverse. It is what makes all the rest of Palm Beach County green in terms of growing our nursery plants, growing our agriculture food, having a lot of our green space. It's fantastic. And as far as I'm running for this reason, I actually have my daughter here, but I loved growing up in Palm Beach County. It's beautiful, it's green, it's amazing. There's issues we can improve, but I loved it, and I want my daughter to have the same experience. And I want everybody's family to have the same experience. So I am by trade a nuclear engineer. I studied at the University of Florida, and I have a bachelor's and master's in nuclear engineering. So I'm an analytical guy, and I'm willing to put the effort into it to make sure you do things right. You understand the details and you make decisions based on evidence and not just ideology or gut feeling. We've got too much gut feeling going on. That doesn't work. If I tried gut feeling in the nuclear business, my boss would kick me out on the curb. But rightfully so. We did things right. I'm not radioactive, even though I worked in a bunch of power plants, so I did it okay and we did it safely. After about 8 years of doing that, I became a senior project engineer at a railroad signaling business, so that's traffic lights for trains, but it's a little bit more complicated than that. I helped repair a bunch of tunnels, including the Montague Tunnel in New York City. It was damaged during Hurricane Sandy. We helped go back in and fix it, so tough work. And I always worked in the field. I had whatever scenario it was, where it was wearing, coveralls in a nuclear plant or going down in a hard hat into the subway, I like getting my hands dirty, because you got to see the results of your work. And that's, oddly enough, why I started getting involved in politics. I've been blessed for the last 2 years to be able to be good friends with the current incumbent, Representative Rick Roth. He's a very, very giving guy. He's got very high integrity. He allowed me to help and get involved and do things that he didn't have to let me do. I'm actually a professor at Palm Beach State College, so I teach. I teach in an advanced power program, so we help people get 2-year degrees to go work for FPL, Pratt & Whitney, Florida water management districts. But in my spare time, I wanted to be involved legislatively, and Rick helped me learn. He let me get involved in some of the bills he was working on, getting more of the money from the Sadowski Trust Fund to go towards affordable housing, working on water quality issues. He has a couple food bank bills he worked on, as well as going in front of the county commission and trying to make sure we defend property rights here in the county. All of that experience showed me exactly how good local politics can have a good effect on people's lives, right? It's back to seeing the result of your work. I'm tired of all this stuff on TV, the national headlines. Local politics gets things done if you elect the right people. So I want you to elect me because of my experience as far as being analytical, because of my diligence as far as I've put in probably 2 years worth of free labor as a part-time, pastime with Rick Roth. He's endorsed me for this race because of that work. So how much harder am I going to work for you when you send me to Tallahassee? And that's the point. This isn't a part-time job. This is a full-time job. I don't care what anybody says. You might only be in session 3 months out of the year, but how do you think you know what to talk about when you're in session, unless you're spending the entire rest of your time going around the district? I've met with mayors out in Belle Glade. I've met with the commission in Pahokee. I've gone to a whole bunch of the different water management stations around here to try and understand how we can improve water flows. I'm going to actually have a tour scheduled with ITID coming up. I've been involved with the county commission. I've talked to many different community leaders and municipalities here and made sure that they understand that I'm going to be a fair mediator. I'll get results from the state, but I'm never going to support one municipality over another. I believe we should all work together. And that's the type of thing I'm going to do when I go to Tallahassee. I'm going to help improve homeowners' insurance rates by trying to tackle roof leakage. I want to see better standards for how we build low leakage roofs, not just roofs that are good against catastrophic damage. I want to see us improve secondary education as well as put more effort behind K through 12. I believe that we need to have better math and reading proficiencies. And I want to make sure that we do as much as possible to keep our environment clean, to keep our water clean and drinkable, but also to make sure we have enough water. Agriculture is very big here. And I always want to defend our property rights. I've already done that. I've already spoken in front of the county commission, and I will keep going to bat for you. So my name is Christian Acosta. Please support me for House District 94. My website is voteacosta.com, and I appreciate your time very much. Thank you.
Okay, moving right along. Our next speaker, who is also running for State Representative District 94, is Anthony Aguirre. Come on, Anthony.
Good evening. Anthony Aguirre, candidate for State House District 94. I want to tell you a little bit about myself that I haven't already told the mailbox or the bottom of your trash can with the excessive flyers that I have sent out, a couple of the issues that I want to focus on and why you should vote for me. I'm raised here in Palm Beach County, grew up in Wellington. My mom is in the same house that we grew up in. I've been here for over 39 years, seen the county grow, seen the community grow, for better or for worse, and I've always been a part of it. I want to continue it on the path that works for everybody. Professionally, I'm a Wellington High School graduate, 2002, and a Florida State economics major, major at Florida State. Returned to the community that I've spent my entire life in and started into the healthcare business sector. The difference between healthcare business and what I do is always value-based. So holding people accountable or you don't make any money. And we need to run our state like a business where it's not just we ran out of money, we need to raise taxes, we need to get more money, we need to pass a larger budget. We need accountability and the shrinking government to give the relief back to the residents here in Palm Beach County and the rest of the state. My political or community activism began in 2006 when I lost my brother and we started our family foundation. Through that loss, we took his memory and our family and started raising money to give back to the community. We have a charity that we do not take any money from. It is solely to continue my brother's life in this community. Through that process, I've learned about all aspects of the needs of the community. We give shoes and toys and anything else based on the season to the Western communities. Spent a lot of time in Belle Glade, partnered with a lot of those organizations where that we're giving what we can. That is the inspiration where if I can do that as a single family, what can we do at the state level for the people that are overlooked in our community? And when we fight for dollars and bring them back, those people have faces and those communities are real. So the issues that we really need to focus on that affect everybody are the cost of living and public safety. Nobody in here is not being affected by the rising costs. We need to aggressively attack the property tax issues, the insurance issues, and all the rising costs here. One of those is supporting our agricultural community where they grow our food, and there's no reason that stuff 20 miles away is more expensive than something that comes from 2,000 miles away. We really need to support those industries that feed us because food safety is security. Public safety is a wide spectrum. Access to clean water is part of public safety. Septic to sewer conversions is very important throughout our community because it's toxic to our water. It's toxic to clean water, and we have a lot of failing septic systems throughout our community. It's something we need to look at. Public safety is always looked at as walking down the street, and it's a broad spectrum. We do need to support our first responders, fund them so that we are safe, and these many, whoever it may be, state attorneys, can do their job. I'm running in this race because the trajectory of our state has been on a path that I agree in, and I support Governor DeSantis in the direction that the state's in. But if we take elections for granted and we put people that don't need to be here, then we start to take a step back. I support his agenda. I am 40. I'm willing to work. I have a long road ahead of me. A business background coming from the private sector to the public sector, giving that up and putting yourself out here into a race where you can impact people but have a professional skill of balancing a budget, spending, and earning a profit is very important going up to the state legislature. 43% of our budget is spent on healthcare. I'm a healthcare professional. Nobody up there is. So they're spending 43 cents of every dollar on something they have no idea what they're doing. You can imagine that there's a significant amount of waste, and that's why my professional career has launched me to where I am today. So again, my name's Anthony Aguirre, and I'm looking for your support in House District 94. Thank you.
Okay, our next, I'm Waterboy, by the way, in case you haven't figured that. What do you want? You want pizza? You want hamburgers? What do you, we can satisfy everybody here. About a break? I was going to give it to you right after her. Okay. Anyhow, our next candidate for District 94 State Representative is Rochelle Lidd.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming out today. It's really nice to be here. I've been on the campaign trail almost a year now, and this event over all the others really feels like coming home. I'm no stranger to the NCNC, and I'm no stranger to our communities. So most of you already know me as the former council member, vice mayor, and mayor of the city of Palm Beach Gardens. I was termed out in April of 2023 and promptly filed to run for the open House District Seat 94. I am also a registered pharmacist and a consultant pharmacist in the state of Florida. I've been taking care of the healthcare needs of our community alongside my husband, Dr. Jeffrey Litt, for 45 years. We are healthcare providers. And so why at this point am I running to go to Tallahassee? Not many people really want to go to Tallahassee. At a time when I could be retiring, like so many of you, enjoying our beautiful city, golf, and taking a step back from politics. Residents are tired of the divisive political things that have been going on at the state level. We have some really big problems to fix, and we need representatives up there with the experience to fix them. You are here as part of NCNC and community members because you understand the importance of education and experience. When it comes to dealing with the problems that we're facing as cities, as counties, and at the state level, we need people with the experience behind them in Tallahassee. What are those issues that we have to face? Well, the biggest one is affordability, and that involves insurance, it involves healthcare, and it involves housing. With regards to property insurance, the legislature has tried multiple times for a fix. It's always involved tort reform, and it's always involved taking away consumer rights in the process. We need a different angle. We need to look at it differently. We need a task force to do that. And we need to change the structure of the insurance industry in Florida and hold the insurance companies accountable. Healthcare costs continue to escalate in the state, and the need is real to expand access to quality, affordable health care. The cities of Belglade, South Bay, and Pahokee in this very large district, it is the largest district in Palm Beach County and the most diverse, they have a dearth of healthcare providers. There are none. There are no specialists out in the western communities. Families out there have to drive 45 minutes to an hour to get to a specialist or to deliver a baby, leaving their families at home. Many of them don't have cars. So while we're on the subject of women's health care, I will get even more passionate. The legislature has gone above and beyond, restricting the freedom of women to control their own bodies and make their own reproductive health care decisions. Everyone should have the freedom to make private healthcare decisions with their doctors, their families, in accordance with their own faith, and not politicians deciding for them. And that is something I will fight for. Because you're educated, NCNC and community members, I know you're acutely aware of the housing shortage and the high cost of housing that we have not only locally but across the state. We need to reinstate the full Sadowski Housing Trust Fund, and we need to fund it fully. We also need to support counties and cities like ours where the residents have stepped up to put their own funds forward, like with our housing bond. They need to match those funds and make it easier for us to build the housing that we need. On the medical front, Florida currently has a physician shortfall of over 125,000 physicians. We need to change the culture in Florida. We need to make sure that our legislature is providing evidence-based, accurate, real medical information to residents. We need to make sure that doctors are respected and valued. The Pharmacy Association was one of those organizations that was instrumental in passing some of the most consequential healthcare reform to bring down the prices of drugs in the state. And we need more people who are medical providers like I am in the state legislature. We also have a shortage of trade workers. We have a shortage of teachers, which is not surprising when we're number 50th in the country for pay and 45th in terms of what we allocate per student. Teaching our kids is the most important thing we could do, and we need to focus on that. I'm the only candidate for HD 94 with the experience to tackle these tough issues. I'm the only one who's been elected and served in office, has been a representative of the League of Cities, and has fought for home rule. I'm the vice chair of the Palm Beach County Water Task Force. I understand the water needs of our farmers and our tourism industry and our cities for clean drinking water. I'm also a member of the Housing Coalition of Palm Beach County Steering Committee for the Housing Bond and the Housing Plan. And I'm a trustee of the Palm Beach North Chamber and have been a member of 5 chambers on the Business Development Board for the past 7 years. Not new, not since I decided to run, but for the past 7 years. You know me. You know that I am going to fight for this community, and I am going to fight for this state, and I ask for your help. RochelleLitt.com. I also ask for your vote if you live in District 94.
Okay, we're now going to go into something called the North Palm Beach County Improvement District. So our first speaker here is Leonard Hanser.
Thank you, Sal. Thank you, Sal. First thing I want to do is to thank the North County Neighborhood Coalition for giving this the opportunity to be here today. It is so appropriate that we are at the bottom of the calendar for this afternoon, because having served 5 terms as the chair of the Palm Beach County Election Canvassing Board, I can tell you that you will have to go through the entire ballot before you get to this race. It is at the very bottom of the ballot. You have to be patient, and you have to look for it. So it's appropriate that you're still here. I want to congratulate those who are still here. Has anyone, who's heard of the Northern Palm Beach County Improvement District? Well, you're very well educated. Because the last time I asked that question of a group, I don't think more than about 20% of the people raised their hands.
We pay those taxes.
Yes, well, they are taxes, but you know, there's a really important distinction between the kind of taxes that you pay to Northern, as they like to call themselves, and what other people pay to other taxing entities. Because the Northern Palm Beach County Improvement District is a non-ad valorem taxing entity, which means that it taxes the residents who are part of a unit of development that receives services from the district, and it apportions the price of the services that those people receive among the residents. So I think one of the easy ways to think of it, because we're all paying those taxes, and IBIS is certainly included, it's kind of like your property owners association, except that the public has the right to elect who sits on the board to make the decisions for the units of development that receive services from the district. So I think that's an important distinction to make. It is a non-ad valorem taxing entity. Now, I have a map here, a jurisdictional map, and you probably won't be able to see it. But all of those shaded areas are what consist of the 47 units of development that are part of Northern. And if you were to look at it, it looks like the most gerrymandered congressional district in the United States. In fact, most of it's centered over here, but you know, there's actually a part over here, Arden, or Alton. No, Arden is over here. So there are non-contiguous parcels that are part of the district. And it stretches actually all the way from the northern boundary of the county all the way down to Southern Boulevard. So that's what the district is. And it's been doing this kind of work for the last, well, since 1959. So it's been around for 65 years, if I've done my math correctly. It's a very well-run organization. I've had the pleasure of attending a number of their board meetings. The board meetings are on Hyatt Drive, which is part of the property within PGA National. And I don't think it is too flippant to say that one of the main purposes of the district is to make sure that when you walk out of your house in the morning, your socks don't get wet. Because draining, actually, taking care of the water is one of the main functions for the Northern Palm Beach County Improvement District. And it does this through a series of what I would call floodgates, part of which appear in PGA National. And it does this through maintaining canals and culverts, and it's actually quite a large organization. The budget for the organization is about $42 to $43 million, so it's not an insubstantial entity. I would point out something that the governor signed into law just this year, and it says that beginning October 1, 2024, each special district, and the district is an independent special district, must establish goals and objectives for each program and activity undertaken by the district, as well as performance measures and standards to determine if the district's goals and objectives are being achieved. So you have to, this is brand new, by the way. It was only signed April 26th of this year. The goals and objectives achieved by this district, as the statute says, as well as the performance measured and standards used by the district to make this determination, must be reported to an agency within the governor's office. 1 minute left. Let me talk to you just briefly about Leonard Hanser. I am a native South Floridian. I was born here 71 years ago. I went to high school in West Palm Beach. I have spent my entire life in Palm Beach County, except for the 3 years that I was in law school. I went to the University of Florida. I have been co-president of the Palm Beach County Gators Club. Go Gators. I know there was an FSU guy here earlier. I've been the president of the Palm Beach County Craig S. Barnard American Inns of Court. I am a graduate of Leadership Palm Beach County, class of 1994. I was the chair of the Community Relations Council for the Jewish Federation of Palm Beach County. So I have not hesitated to get involved. However, this race is different. It's a nonpartisan race. I ran 2 election cycles as a judge. I served 16 years as a magistrate in Palm Beach County and over 12 years as a county court judge in Palm Beach County. And for the 2 election cycles that I'm finished. I had no opposition. But let me finish by saying that this is an election, but it's not political. This will not appear on your primary ballot in August. It will appear only on your ballot in November. Thank you for being here.
Okay, our next speaker is Ellen Baker, who also is running for North Palm Beach County Improvement District, Seat 4.
Good afternoon, everybody. Even though I'm a teacher, I'm not going to give you a book report. I actually serve on Northern's board. I was appointed in August of 2020, and then I was elected in November of 2020. It has been my honor and a privilege to serve on the board. We have a wonderful staff. Most of you know me. I live in right down the road for 33 years. I've lived in Northern's district for 37 years. Grew up in Connecticut. I've raised my 3 children here, and I have 7 grandchildren, 3 of which live in Palm Beach County. So as a teacher and a public servant, I've been able to meld that. And one of the most, I'm going to run on my record. One of the things that I'm most proud of is that I was able to this year take students from Seminole Ridge High School in their automotive program. Welding is a very popular thing with young people today. Everybody wants to be a welder, girls, boys. And they are out in the acreage. They're very adept at it right now. And being a special ed teacher with kids that don't want to read all the time, they really love to work with their hands, and they're very successful. So I was able to arrange a field trip with 15 boys and girls from the automotive academy at Seminole Ridge, and with my executive director at Northern. We have a wonderful staff, 24 staff members at Northern, and most of them stay forever. I think our secretary is at 38 years, our receptionist. So anyway, we went out to Clewiston to a family sheet metal manufacturing company. The kids were spellbound. No phones were out. They had their safety goggles on. They were mesmerized. And this was a real vocational, technical trip where they can see what they can do without college. And so I thought to be able to do that as a teacher and a board member was fabulous. I already have plans to do that next year with my son's company, small medical, they make medical equipment, and they have some welding abilities. We also took my Northern took the kids out to lunch to a local place in Clewiston, so that was really cool. So it was D&J Machinery for any of you people. And the reason that I even learned about the sheet metal, that particular sheet metal company, was that my first project, I'm the chair of the engineering review committee for Northern, And again, as a reading and English teacher, this really is the opposite side of my brain. But I really, I'm a student and a lifetime learner. So we had this project in Juneau Isles, where they have a boat lift, and they needed to replace the weir. And it was going on for way too long. I found out it was 19 and a half months late, so I got involved. And I had been babysitting, going out there, visiting it, looking at the project. And it turned out to be, finally, when it was going to be completed, it turned out to be a one-off. And this company close by, out in Clewiston, was able to make the gate. So it was a way that that I feel like I've toured the district several times. I have jumped in with both feet. I'm the only woman on the board. I'm the only certified district official on the board. I'm involved at the state level with the Florida Association of Special Districts. I was just appointed by the executive director to be on their legislative committee for the next session. I am involved. I stand up, I speak out, I speak up, I listen. I just was able to help a resident in Alton. If any of you live in Alton, we have 46 units of development. Our budget is $46 million. We have a meeting tomorrow at 8 o'clock if anybody wants to come and listen. I'll share with some exciting news that we're going to talk about tomorrow morning. So our district, it goes north to Martin County, south to Southern, east to Alternate, and west to the LA Canal. There's going to be a new unit of development, which I really want to be a part of. And they changed the name from Lake Haven. It's going to be Artistry Lakes, and it's going to be just east of Arden. So anyway, I want you to vote for me, to let me do 4 more years. I think I've done a good job, and I've been a part of North County Coalition with Sal for a long time. I really appreciate you all staying so late today. Thank you very much, Ellen Baker.
Okay, thank you, Ellen. Did you take your name tag with you? Leonard didn't either? Leonard, bad boy. There we go. I'll give it to him. Okay. Our next speaker is Jeffrey Jackson, who's running for the Port of Palm Beach, Group 2.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jeffrey Jackson, and I was born a Democrat. I want to start by saying I'm married to my wife, Charlene. We've been married for 32 years, and we have 5 kids, and they're busy and all over the place. I have my youngest, my daughter, she's attending college in Tallahassee. My son Jared played football at Tallahassee and then with Florida State and then Michigan State before receiving an injury, so he's home now. He could not participate in the draft, but he'll get back to it. He's rehabilitating his shoulder. One of my other sons, Akeem, he has 2 group homes, and Jeff is in the construction and development. And Travis is at the sheriff's office. He's a deputy there. So I was born and raised in Palm Beach County. I went away to the United States Marine Corps. I was a decorated Marine. Upon leaving the sheriff's office, upon leaving the Marine Corps, I joined the sheriff's office and rose to the rank of captain. While at the sheriff's office, I ran the largest unit, and I commanded the largest number of deputies and other and civilian employees. While there, I got a chance to work at the sheriff's office drug farm. The drug farm is a substance abuse treatment center. Some of you who've been around for a while might remember it. While running the drug farm, I had the lowest recidivism rate in the nation. And I did that for every year that I was there. At one point, things were so bad in California, Arnold Schwarzenegger went looking for money in Washington, and the president, it meant a lot to me, directed him to the sheriff's office, to my program to solve their problems, and they put that on a book. So that meant a lot. So moving on, so upon leaving the sheriff's office, upon retiring 2 years ago, Sheriff Rick Bradshaw gave me one of the highest honors bestowed upon law enforcement personnel. That was the Legion of Merit Award. I'm very proud of it. I have a number of endorsements, more than 30 endorsements from current elected officials and past elected officials. There are several port officials, Peyton MacArthur, Priscilla Taylor, people who have been port commissioners previously. Priscilla Taylor, Jean Enright and Dr. Poole currently endorse me, and a host of others. I have a host of mayors endorsing me, and I have the CTA, the PBA, and the union workers, the employees that work for the port workers, they too, the AFL-CIO, has endorsed me. As I said, I have a ton of endorsements. But getting back to what I am doing, why I'm uniquely qualified to run this office, to hold this office, I've served already as an elected official, the Thousand Oaks Community Development District. There I did 20 years. I had to resign that seat to run for this one. For those of you who know about bond repayments, the developer took out a $40 million bond. I had a lot of success in paying those bonds back because when when the interest rates went down, I refinanced the debt, and I've done that twice. By doing that, I shaved 5 years off of that bond repayment. No one else in Palm Beach County has had that kind of success, have thought about doing bonds like that. In fact, I got that qualification, found out that I could do it because my attorneys told me I could not. It just didn't sit right with me, but I found out from the Attorney General's office that we could do that, and I did that, and it really worked really well. And the people, they love it because, you know, instead of paying that bond for 5 more years, they're going to be able to stop at the 35-year mark for those who kept their homes that long. So I'm currently president of the Revere Beach Housing Authority, and I have it's an award-winning housing authority. I have 4 projects going in multiple cities, and I'm very proud of that. I work with Toys for Tots, raising money for them. I have owned 2 hotels myself. I want to rebrand the port, build something big, something that Palm Beach County can be proud of. For the seniors, I want to give you a one-time travel fee for everyone over 70. I'm going to raise the money to have you take a one-time trip for yourself. I want to continue with the other development and enhance the port, enhance the opportunities for people to grow. We need to grow our port forward, and we need to work on security issues. We need to work on transparency and fiscal accountability. And I want to bring more ships into the port and create a much better environment. I want to do that job for you. And if I'm successful, you'll see a big difference. You'll see a difference that you'll feel. And I'm proud of the work we've achieved so far, and I want to thank you for your time.
Right on time. Okay. By the way, where is that cruise going to go to?
Anywhere you want.
My wife's a cruiser, but she threatens me with sending me on a one-way cruise. Anyhow, no, I love her dearly. Anyhow, I want you all to tell her that too when you see her. Okay. All right. Our next speaker just arrived here, so it's Verissa Laldal. She's running for the Port Palm Beach as well, this Port 2. There you go. Put your name up here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Commissioner Verissa Das. I am the incumbent Port Commissioner at the Port of Palm Beach. So I was appointed in December of 2022 to serve on the Port Commission by the majority of the Port Commission at that time. The reason those commissioners picked me is because at that time I served on 2 port committees, I attended all of the meetings, and they had full faith in me that I knew the issues, I knew where the port was headed, and I could hit the ground running. And that's exactly what we've done over these past 18 months. The port just had its most profitable year in history. We are operating at a historic $3 million net profit from last year. This year, we're already at $4 million. We're gonna close this year around $7 million. This is historic for the Port of Palm Beach. And this matters because we don't levy any taxes. We are the only government entity in Palm Beach County that pays for itself. But we can only do that if we have commissioners like me that understand our economic models and how to generate revenue from those models. That is why it is critical that we keep commissioners who understand these things. Now, and I want to be clear too, that $3 million net profit, that's just not money, that's not money that you just give away. We need that money because the federal and state government often matches the amount that we put up. So we need that money to undertake further development at the port. Additionally, these past 18 months, we've created 200 direct and indirect jobs. We did this by bringing in a second cement carrier, Ozinga. We're in the process of bringing in a third one right now. And also by restructuring some of our cruise passenger volume and increasing it. Now, we also increase cybersecurity protections. This is critical because I'm a firm believer that the terrorism of the future is going to be committed through the internet and through cybercrime. So these protections were something I was very vocal about, and we were able to get done. We additionally brought on a full-time Riviera Police Security Police Department officer. We also expanded our railway. Now, this is very important because by doing this, we took approximately 29,000 trucks off of the road. This is beneficial for mitigating traffic congestion, as well as it's just better for the environment overall. A little about me, I am a partner at a law firm. I do insurance contract law. Now, this is relevant because 100% of our business dealings at the port are contractually governed. So by having a contract lawyer like me already at the port, we ensure that our port is, there's less of a likelihood that we'll ever breach our contracts or the terms that we're responsible for when entering into our leases or business arrangements. I'm also on the County Planning Commission. I'm on the Business Development Board, and I'm on the West Palm Beach Downtown Development Authority. So I don't know how much time I have left, but I want to talk about my future vision for the port. How long? Oh, my future vision for the port. So we should have been a cruise port. Given our proximity to the Caribbean, that is the direction that I firmly believe that we need to move in. And right now, so currently we are bringing in a luxury vessel in 2026. That's all I can say about that one. But there is there is a Carnival ship in Jacksonville that we are currently looking at, and that is the one that, that's one of the options that we're looking at right now. Now, we can't ever have deep dredging. That's just not something that's gonna happen, but we can still bring in moderate quality vehicles. And the future port I see has cruise options for every socioeconomic class, from Margaritaville at $75 to that luxury vessel at $5,000 a cabin. I've also met with developers who are interested in constructing a hotel or luxury condo units at the port. And those developers, I've told them anything that they construct, I will only be in favor of if we have a restaurant or rooftop bar or something where we can activate that space for the community and where it's something that's beneficial and enjoyable for boaters as well. It's important to me that the community is more involved in the port and are able to attend the port more and better understand what we do there and enjoy it from the actual port itself. Now, I'm very thankful for this opportunity to come here and speak to you today. I commend my opponents on their respective service to the community. My experience is at the actual port, doing this job and creating results for you, and knowing about the port in great detail and being able to execute the best decisions for the community based on that knowledge. So that is why I ask for your vote, and I hope that you will keep me on as the Port Commissioner for District 2. Thank you.
Here's your name. Here's your name card here. Okay, certainly not least, it may be last, but it's one of our more important kind of things, and that's education. And what we have before us in this past year is a number of different discussions from parents and school boards on whether they agreed or disagreed. So it's going to be interesting to see what three individuals want to do with our school board District 1. Our first speaker is Paige Lewis.
Probably don't need it. Hi, I'm Paige Lewis, and I'm running for school board in District 1. And I'm running for school board because I do believe that education is a pathway to success for all of our students in all of our county. I'm qualified for this position with a background in education, small business, and mental health. And I really believe that those things make me very well-rounded for the issues that I'm going to have to address as a school board member. I would like to go back a little bit and tell you my background. So I actually homeschooled my son when we lived in North Carolina, so that was my beginning of educating children. But I also, at that time, I spent a lot of time in the public school tutoring and reading. That I was a restaurant owner for 13 years. If you've ever been a restaurant owner, you know how tough that is and how many tough decisions you have to make. But just think about doing that on an island that has 1 to 4 hurricanes every year, okay? And at that time, they were just kept rolling through. So it was in the 90s. So I was always having to adjust my budget, look at my money. I had to make decisions based on the weather. So I had a lot of adversity that I had to overcome. I also had a nonprofit called the Kennekeet Sanctuary for Animals and Youth, where I taught children to take care of animals. Excuse me, I got ahead of myself. And during that time, I didn't like fundraising, so I went and got a broker's license in Virginia and North Carolina. And I started selling houses, started acquiring, and commercial properties, which I managed, as well as oceanfront properties that were rentals, which I also managed. So I have a really diverse background in business and education. And the next thing I did was created the Kennekeet organization advocating substance treatment. A lot of my children, their parents had substance abuse issues, and so we wanted to address those things. And so I was able to create that, and we would help young people or young parents on the island to get into treatment. In 2007, my husband was in a very bad accident, a car accident, and he was paralyzed from the waist down, and 8 months later he passed away. I had to overcome that adversity as well. And it was a bad time to sell properties, and I had a lot of them, and I had a business to sell. And I was able to move through that, actually get enough to bring my daughter, who was still very young, down to Palm Beach County. She had spent her days in public school, so she went to Marsh Point, and you're not waving at me yet, I'm sorry. So when I came down here, I thought I would sell real estate, but unfortunately you have to do a lot of driving, and I didn't want to drive around Palm Beach County all the time. I felt like it was kind of dangerous. So I went into substance abuse industry. And the reason why is because, and I'm telling you all this, is because I love kids, I love people, I love families, I have a business background. My whole sole purpose in running for this position is to help our communities. I am not a politician. I do not have endorsements that are from anybody that I have to be beholden to. I'm beholden to the teachers, the children, the police, the school police, and guess what? And the transportation people, because if we can't get our kids to school, then we don't have any kids at school. So I'm really looking to be in this position to make a difference, and I want it will be a full-time position for me. I believe it's a full-time position. If you really put everything that you need to put into this position, it should be your sole focus. You have to be focused on not just your district, but also the other districts in the county. I've worked with kids for 2 years out in Belglade in District 6. I've been in Belglade Elementary and Lakeshore Middle School. I worked for 7 years with kids off Tamarind Avenue for Urban Youth Impact. I got a reading certification, and I was able to bring my kids from 17% reading on grade level to 67%. And then in my mind, if I can do it, then the school district can do it. And I really appreciate the opportunity to come here and speak today. My name is Paige Lewis. You just remember Paige like a book, because everybody needs to read. Thanks.
Okay, 2 speakers to go, and we're on schedule. Okay. Our next speaker for School Board District 1 is Francesca Warnish.
Oh, the room thinned a bit. Okay. Hi, I am Francesca Wernish, and I am also running for District 1. I was born and raised in Palm Beach County, so I have deep roots in our community. My K-12 education left a lasting impression on me. It was safe and supportive. I made lifelong friends, and it was a home away from home in a time when my personal life was a bit unstable. This is something that I want for all of our students and something that has motivated me to run for this position. I earned a degree from the University of Florida in construction management, and my experience working with land planners, civil engineers, developers, and contractors really gave me a comprehensive understanding of the different phases of a project, the importance of trade skills, and the collaboration required to take a project from start to finish. My next career move was to become a parent 10 years ago, and I now have a 10 and a 6-year-old who are in elementary school, and my family has chosen public school. We have been engaged in the process. It has given me an opportunity to volunteer on the field trips, to be the treasurer of the PTA for the past 2 years, to be on the school advisory council. All of these experiences have developed not just a strong work ethic and powerful problem-solving skills, but have given me just a really good indication of how things are going for parents in the district, what's working, what could be improved on, what solutions they feel could be brought up and helped. So that has been, a really nice experience just offhand. My priorities, like the board and the district, is student achievement. And what that means for me is the ability for our students to reach their highest potential and in a safe learning environment and enter the world feeling successful, that they can live in Palm Beach County and be a part of our community. I think that starts with early learning, increasing pay for our teachers through an increase of the base student allocation, which is the amount of money that we get from the state to fund per kid, and then how we can carry that through. Engaging our parents in educating them on how integral their role is, especially before the kids get to kindergarten, but just throughout their process. The community engagement is so important. Our schools are the fabric of our community. It affects our property values, it affects businesses, and it's just a really critical role, which is why you're all sitting here listening about school board races. What sets me apart from other candidates is the endorsement of Barbara McQuinn, who is not only in this room, but is the current board member. She is well respected, and just her support in me, to me, speaks volumes. She believes that I am a good fit for this role. And then most importantly, I have children in the school district at this time. So the decisions that I will make as a board member will affect my family, and I will be held accountable when I am at pickup and drop off and on the playground, and I have to look those parents in the eyes and explain to them why we're making some of these decisions, and I take that very seriously. I hope to have your support on August 20th, and I will hang out if you have any questions. And again, Francesca Wernish, School District number 1. Thank you.
Okay, we have 2 speakers to go. We had one gentleman just show up. He drove a long way, and I'm going to let him come in and speak. All right, but our last speaker for the candidate for District 1 School Board is Matthew Lane.
I'm Matt Lane. I've been a member of the NCNC for over a decade and have served on the board because we share the same values and a common vision for our community. And since I'm among friends, I'm proud to be able to share with you the news that I've been endorsed by the Palm Beach Post, the Sun Sentinel, the business community, including both the Economic Council and BizPac, the Associated Builders and Contractors, our police and our sheriffs, the Classroom Teachers Association, former Palm Beach Gardens Mayor Joe Russo, former North Palm Beach Mayor Dave Norris, former County Commissioner Hal Valashay, and former School Board Chair Frank Barbieri. And this position on the school board is so important to me because I come from a family of teachers, starting with my mother, who was a teacher, My grandmother was a teacher. Her sister, my great aunt, Elsie, was a teacher. My wife was a teacher, and when I was much younger, I taught math and English in the public school system to underprivileged children, which is why education is and has always been a core value in our family. Now, our school district has a $4.9 billion budget, 23,000 employees, 170,000 students, and 182 schools. And prior to starting my law firm, I was vice president and general counsel to a financial corporation. I understand finance, I understand law, I understand management, and I have experience as an elected public official serving as a council member in the city of Palm Beach Gardens. And it seems to me that someone on that school board needs to have the financial acumen required to understand the finances of an entity with a $4.9 billion annual budget, to understand the vast array of legal issues that confront the district every day, to have management experience, and to have experience as an elected public official. I can tell you that the overall academic performance of the students in our district is not good. We just went from an A to a B-rated district. Only 54% of the children are reading at grade level. Only 56% are performing math at grade level, and only 49% of the 8th graders are performing science at grade level. We need to fix this. We need to fix this now. So how do you go about fixing a problem like this? First and foremost, you need to focus the curriculum. You need to focus on the fundamentals: reading, writing, math, science. And when the students become older, studying the classical works of literature, history, philosophy, and the fine arts, with an emphasis on cultural literacy, civic pride, civic literacy, and critical thinking skills. Second, you need to prioritize spending so that you can retain and recruit the best possible teachers. All studies have shown that the most important determinant of a student's success is the quality of a teacher. And right now, 2/3 of our teachers are making $60,000 or less. Third, we need to provide our teachers with extensive opportunities for professional development, where they have access to the latest research and best practices. So the first 3 planks of my platform are: number 1, we need to focus our curriculum; number 2, we need to prioritize our spending so that we retain and recruit the best possible teachers; and number 3, we need to provide training. Am I done? Okay, training for those teachers. Number 4, we need to have excellent career and technical education programming so that when our students graduate, we've provided them with the skills that they need to get high-paying jobs. Number 5, we need to focus on health and wellness. We need to provide better nutrition, physical education, and sports. No more fried chicken wings there. And finally, our founders all agreed about one thing, although they disagreed on many. John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, George Washington all agreed that schools were very important to building a student's character. They thought that we should emphasize what they called the virtues: honesty, integrity, hard work, respect, and self-restraint. And I agree with that as well. Thank you very much. I'm Matt Lane. The campaign slogan for my campaign was created by my wife, and it's this: when you're voting for school board, get in the right lane with Matt Lane. Thank you.
Okay, we have one last speaker. He came a long way to kind of be here. His name is Thomas Whitcup, and he's running for U.S. Congress District 21, which is our district.
Thank you, Sal, and thank you, NCNC. It's such a pleasure to come here. My name is Thomas Whitcup, and I'm running in Florida's 21st Congressional District to defeat Brian Mast. I'm running on values that have historically been a given in our democracy. I'm running on certifying our free and fair elections and making sure there is a peaceful transition of power. I'm running on protecting women's rights and making sure that decision is made between a woman and her doctor, and we keep politicians out of it. And I'm running to protect the keystones that have always been pillars to our democracy, like Social Security and Medicare, and making sure that those earned benefits are not on the chopping block in front of Congress, and making sure that you get what you deserve after you've worked many, many years. So we all know what's at stake this election. Democracy's on the ballot, women's rights are on the ballot, and our future is on the ballot. And that is what I hope to represent when I run for Congress against Brian Mast. The people that are hoping for a brighter future for America, one that includes everybody, one that isn't Team Donald Trump or Team Kamala Harris or Team Democrat or Team Republican. It's Team America is what I hope to represent. So this is the year where so much is at stake, but also so much can be gained. Right now, Florida has Amendment 4 on the ballot, which is the right to abortion, and you have to make sure to vote yes on that. And that's going to mobilize tons of people to come out this election. So please do everything you can to tell your friends, tell your neighbors, even whatever political background, whatever political affiliation they are, let them know that this is a critical year to get out and vote because the future depends on it. I'm also running to protect our environment, which is a hugely important issue for young people like myself. So please make sure to get out, vote, volunteer, and of course, we are always looking for any support in the community. We have a great volunteer base coming. And make sure to vote WITCOP. Vote WITCOP for women, vote WITCOP for waterways, and vote WITCOP for a working democracy. Thank you so much.
Almost done. I'm your last speaker. Does anybody remember what I said when I opened the meeting? Okay. One objective was for you to learn what the candidates had to offer and what they were trying to convince you of and why they should vote, why you should vote for them. What was the second objective? You got to bring it back to your communities. While it's being videotaped and you'll have access on our website, okay, you need to show your community what these candidates did. None of this is easy. I mean, they're working their tails off, whether they're driving or flying or sacrificing family time and so forth. We can all appreciate, and we thank you for being candidates. I mean, it's a tough thing to step up to, and we appreciate that for everybody. So what did I say the NCNC has? How many voters? 42,000 voters in our coalition. We have a track record, and we don't convince anybody to vote one way or the other. All I do is I kick butt, tell them to get out there and vote. 75% of the time, 75% participation rate, which is huge. That's 27, 28,000 people, maybe a little more. And every one of these candidates would like to have some of those people voting for them. But it's incumbent upon us, look, as community leaders, to bring the message back to the community. Get the guy out of the golf cart, get the lady out of the Marjan room or whatever. I mean, this civic duty they have is their responsibility. It's a pivotal year. It's a very serious year. There's a lot of issues, a lot of polarizations on both sides of the equation. I'm not going to tell you which way to go. You got to make that up for yourself. But it's an important decision. Don't be lackadaisical and say, don't be apathetic to say someone else will take care of it. Someone else will vote. Don't accept that. That's irresponsible in my opinion. I said as a veteran, okay, that's irresponsible. Okay, does anybody have a burning question or a burning comment they want to make before we say thank you and good night? Oh, Barbara Quinn. Well, you have to thank Camille. She's the hero behind the scenes. She's probably out there not wanting to take a bow. Eric, bring her in here. Just give her applause. She did the 90% of the work. Camille. She's the only Italian other than my wife can tell me what to do. Anyhow, look, guys, thank you very much. We appreciate your time. Go home, be safe, and we'll talk again.